All right, so here we go again. I'm making another video. Nasty day outside here, North Carolina. It's raining. I don't know if you can see the rain outside. It's just nasty out here. Excuse the garage, it's a mess. But what I'm working on today is a Hyundai Sonata. It's a 2.4 GDI engine. This one, the starter's messed up on. You can hear the starter spinning, but the Bendix is not kicking the starter out, so the starter's bad, so I'm gonna change the starter out on it. Got it on my lift. I cheat when it comes to this. I'm gonna try to use hand tools just in case you're watching the video. This is how we do it. First thing I did is, for me, I always have bad luck, so I disconnect both battery cables. That way there's not a chance of anything. If it can go wrong, it's gonna go wrong with me. As soon as I unhook both of these, I'm gonna go underneath the car, and that's where we'll pick it up at. All right, so here we are underneath the car. If I come back, look where your oil filter is. You've got two coolant lines coming off of your filter housing. And if you look directly behind these, that rusty thing right there, that's my starter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do things a little different than what I've seen on some of the other guys do. You do you however you need to do you. But what I did was I put me a 5-gallon bucket underneath my cooler, took both of my lines loose, to how I can remember myself to make sure where it goes. The clamp closest to the nozzle is going to be my hose closest, so when I pop it loose, it comes off. I've already drained it, so it shouldn't be nothing in these. And then the clamp that I put the furthest away goes to the furthest away. So those are both loose. And I took the bolt, there's a bolt right here, it's a 12 millimeter. I took it out so that way my hoses will slide out of my way. Straight access to my starter, right there it is. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to take this bracket here loose. These are 12 millimeters, there's two, and then there's two more. Well, look there, somebody's already been here, these two are gone. So I'm gonna take these two out of my way, pull this bracket out, and then there'll be two 14 millimeter bolts. Let me get my light back on this side. Now that I got my light back on this side, right there, this bolt right here is my bottom bolt, and then the top bolt is right above here, right about where my finger is. There's two bolts, and then the starter's gonna come out. So I'm gonna try to set a tripod up so you can record me working. That way it'll maybe help you out. So my tripod ain't up tall enough for me, and I work with a headlight. So these bolts right here are my two that I'm gonna take loose, 12 millimeter. They go right on the bottom of the intake, and of course I'm not gonna be able to get it one-handed. Oh, all right, so hang on. Let me see if I can tilt you up. There we go, maybe there. Break them loose. Now, once you get this loose, you'll see on this wire right here, there's a wire that goes right here, and it's got one of those little squeeze clamps right there, like a zip tie type style clamp. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna leave it on there and get it out of my way. I'm hoping you can see this. I'll watch this video. If it's not good, I won't post it. Somebody else has already been here. That's the reason we know those two are gone. But that should take that bracket right there loose, just like that. I'm gonna push him out of my way. Just get him out of the way. So now, like I said, those brackets are gone. There's the starter there. You leave the wires hooked up, the battery's disconnected, so it can't do anything. And my next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break these 14 millimeter bolts here loose. So the bottom bolt, again, is right here. The top bolt is just on the other side of this little wall. Here's my ratchet I put on there. Now, I have a feeling that somebody's already done this job at one point. The reason why the two bolts are missing on the bottom, not uncommon. The top bolt was not very tight at all. I mean, it was snug, but it didn't hardly take me anything to break it loose. I'm gonna break this loose, take this bolt here out, and when I do, the starter will be loose next. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And like that, I got the bottom bolt out, so it just slides right on out. So there's my bottom bolt. I'm gonna go here and put it on the bench, and then I'm gonna work on getting that top bolt out. Again, I apologize to you for the lighting. I wear a headlight and I wear these gloves to keep my hands from getting too dirty. My full-time job doesn't like me having dirty hands, so this is something I do out in the garage. But I've got it right there. The bolt, I'm turning the bolt by my fingers. It's still not easy to do. I'm not double jointed. I'm almost there. All right, there it comes, right there. All right, so now I'm gonna get this bolt out of my way. There it is. So what I like to do is I like to compare my two bolts to see if there's any difference. And they're not, they're the same size bolt. So top, bottom doesn't matter. Now, if we're taking a look back here at our starter again, the starter should move. See that? So now I'm just gonna work it out. I might have to pry it a little bit. There it goes. I'm gonna pry it, I'm gonna pop it out and I'm gonna turn it. Hard to see. Apologize again. I'm gonna turn it so my starter's looking at me just like this, so that way I can unhook the wires. So I've got a wire to unhook. Let's see. I don't know how far to fall. There we go. Just let it hang. All right. So it's like maybe a 12 millimeter there. And I'm gonna disconnect this squeeze clip here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do those. All right, so I took that bolt loose, was 12 millimeter. I took the squeeze clamp. If you look at it, this one's broke. Again, somebody's done this job before. They broke it, so I just had to pop it out. This is the reason why we disconnect the battery, because this would be a hot wire. If it was to touch something grounded, you'd have arc, so make sure you have that. So now I'm gonna take this old starter, take it up to the, well, that's not good, look at that. It shouldn't do that. So that's what shows how bad our starter is. So we're gonna take this up to the store and get us another one. Okay, so fortunately for me, I have a parts store up the road from my house here, about a mile. So I got my new starter. I took the lock washer and the nut off of it so that way I can go ahead and put my wires back on. I'm just gonna reverse it. See, I put this, let's see here. Feed it through and put the lock washer on first and then the nut. It's got these little ears right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, where that wire connector just went down the side there. And then I'm gonna tighten my nut up. All right, I'm gonna put my wrench on there and plug my electric connector back in. Just like that. And I'm gonna put a wrench on that. Put my wrench on there, tighten it up. How about that? The new one is a 13 millimeter. Got my dog out here with me and it's raining, so he's freaking out. So go ahead and get that there tight. Now this one, I don't know if you remember if I recorded or not, but on the other one, it was loose. Now, I'm a big guy, so what I do when I hold my ratchet, when I'm trying not to break something, I hold it basically by the head, not on the end of the handle. That way I can't put but so much force on it. So I'm gonna get it right here, get it tight. That way, see where I'm not using my whole ratchet. I could pull it down here and probably pull it tighter, but I don't want to mess it up. As soon as I do, I'm gonna put the cover back on it and we're gonna feed it back into where it belongs. All right, so now I've got the starter. I'm gonna go right back up in that hole where it come out of. So it goes up, kind of goes up and in. I'm gonna put the solenoid, which is that small piece on the top, I'm gonna put it towards the engine. See how it kind of slipped right up in place? And there it is, right back home. So now I'm just gonna start putting my bolts back in it. So I'm gonna put my bottom bolt in it where I can reach it. And what you have to do is raise up on your starter so that way it doesn't put it in a bind, and you'll see that that bottom bolt will go pretty much right on in, back in place. All right, with that bolt tight, that bolt tight. I went ahead and tightened them. Now, I used the whole ratchet handle this time. I want those tight. That top one, remember, was just a little loose. I tightened that one. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, there's my starter up in place. Get my light where you can see it. All right, remember now we gotta put this bracket back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push my wires back over. Come on, get out my way. There we go. Get my bracket, so I put my wires back in. All right. Now, what I'm gonna try to do, I'm gonna go over here to my toolbox for a minute and see if I've got 2 more bolts to put in this bottom. So what this does, this bracket, it supports the intake. This is your intake right here. Throttle body's right here. So this helps it. It keeps it, it's there for a reason. I'm not an engineer, all right? But they took the bolts out. I'm gonna see if I can find 2 bolts to go back in their place based on what I have on the bench. So let's see what I can come up with. All right, so here we are. I put the 2 bolts back up top. Get my light so you can see maybe. I changed that bolt out and put one down bottom. I could find one, but I couldn't find 2, and I figured that might as well just put the odd one up top so I could get easy to. It's a 13 millimeter. These 2 are the 12s. I just put them, there they are. So one's better than nothing on the bottom. Starter's back in place. I went ahead and put that bracket there with the bolt back in it. It was a 12 millimeter. And put my hoses back on. I'm gonna clamp them. Remember, I told you clamp closest to the end, went closest to the motor, clamp further away, went further away from the motor. Just how I kept it. Now, you probably could do this if you wanted to without taking this loose and draining the coolant system. I mean, it looks like there's room. I did it to give myself room. I like making things easier on myself. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put these 2 clamps back on, and then I'm gonna lower her down and put the antifreeze back in it. All right, so I went ahead and topped off my coolant, put the battery back up, and let's see if she'll crank. That was me starting and stopping it 3 times just to check it, because I'm checking the starter. With it running, you see it kind of, let me turn my light back on here. It sucked it down a little bit, not much. So I'm gonna sit here and let it run and get back up to temperature and get that air out of the system now. That's gonna be it. So the starter's fixed. It took me about an hour, and that was with me going to the parts store to get what I needed. I did not use any power tools on this. This is all hand tools. Let me step away so maybe you can hear me better. On this side, she got some kind of bearing or something on that side making a little bit of a noise. But it took me about an hour, like I said. It's bad, it's still nasty. Look how much rain we got now. So it's just a beautiful day to be outside in the garage working. All right, guys, I hope that helped. This is my setup. This is how I do with my headlight like this. I bought this from Harbor Freight. It just puts the light where I need it so I can have both hands to work with. Maybe one day I'll show you around the garage that I've got. I've built all this just from out here. Guys, take your time with it. Don't get frustrated. If you get frustrated, like I always tell you, put your tool down, walk away, come back. It's not worth tearing something else up. This is customer's car, so I don't want to mess their car up. I've been shooting videos off and on about my little Mustang back here, so hopefully in the near future I'll show you another one. I just put a B-cam in it last night, so I'm looking forward to firing it up. Like, look, you see my breath, it's cool out here. The main thing, guys, just take your time. It can be done. You don't have to pay big money for this. If you've got just a couple hand tools, you can do this job. Just don't get frustrated. I hope this video helps you. Thank you so much for watching.